So I'm trying to make sure my eggs are at its healthiest point. Like, I wanted to make sure.
So much to tell you. I feel like, God put this in your heart to help me with this journey.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Bird 91. Listen, we're going to give you a review of Love and Hip Hop season, was it 12, episode 19? Crazy. I'm joining late again. It seems like, honestly, all the time it just feels like I'm joining late to Love and Hip Hop, but they give me an episode and I jump back in again. But look, I'm going to jump back in and hopefully I can stay with it again, but we'll see what happens. Look, this episode was kind of crazy. I've been following the Yandy, the Mendeecees, and the Keisha story a little while now. And this episode was actually quite interesting all the way through. So I'll start with obviously Yandy and Mendeecees and Keisha, but I'll talk about the rest of the couples. Scrappy with Erica. Listen, I'm all down for going back to baby mothers. I've got no problem with it. It's just that it just seems a little bit repetitive with Scrappy. You know, whenever he falls down, he goes back to where he, you know what I mean? And he doesn't stay there. So it's like, anyway, that's another story. We'll get there. And then we obviously have Sierra as well. She's got a situation going on with Eric as well. In the meantime, we got Spice and the Shamans going on. We had Scrappy and Diamond later on. And then she kind of just shares this really powerful moment, which we're going to talk about. And I really want to discuss what she kind of shared, because I can't remember what the other lady's name was actually. She also shared a very powerful story about abortion as well. And that's quite close to home. So I loved what they shared. I think it was such a moving part of the show, and to leave it at the very end I think was also important. So we're going to break it all the way down for you guys in the next few minutes. I like to keep it nice and short, trying to keep it underneath 10 minutes, so you get a little nice overview of what the show happened, and then give you guys my thoughts as well. So make sure, if you guys are new to the channel, you're liking, you share, you subscribe, you click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals, okay? All right, we're going to get this show going right away. Once we get the intro.
Little Black Book, you know what time it is. 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 Time it is.
All right, cool. Listen, let's start at the very beginning. Keisha and Yandy, let's break this down.
You my sister, you my love, you my baby. But I just had my meeting with the doctor, and it was not good news. So
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's not good news because her fibroids are playing up. But let me just keep this 100% clear. I said this about Yandy's situation and the young lady and Mendecee. I really feel like Yandy has lost respect for Mendecee, so she's taking decisions on her own, because Mendecee went to prison, and at that point he didn't consult her when he went to prison. And now we've got a situation where Yandy is discussing with her cousin Keisha, and Keisha wants a kid. I hear it. They've gone from, obviously she was going to give her an egg, and then Keisha was going to carry it. Now Keisha can't carry the child, and Yandy's thinking, I'm going to still give my egg to a surrogate. Well, at this point, y'all may as well adopt. At this point, it doesn't matter whose sperm or egg it is, really and truly, because we are moving the goalpost very soon. Okay, we're moving the goalposts so far wide, and the fact is that Yandy and Mendeecees do not agree on the process. And I think when I was speaking to Sean, he made a very good point. This doesn't bode well for either of them. If Mendeecees stops Yandy, she feels resentful. If Yandy goes ahead of it, Mendeecees feels resentful. How do you resolve an issue where both people might potentially find themselves resentful? I think the real case is this, right? The first mistake was Yandy taking the decision without actually consulting Mendeecees. If I was honest, I would say Yandy should actually step down. Why I say step down is because you never consulted him in the first place. You took a decision by yourself and did it, and then expected him to jump on board, right? But someone else might also say that Mendecee too, you know what? This won't kill you. It won't hurt you. The child will be in someone else's possession. Don't worry about it. But the reality is, it's still going to be Yandy's blood and DNA, and they will need to explain this later on. And I always say that sometimes you need to protect women from themselves because they act in their feelings. Yandy is acting like a superhero in this situation, and she need not. Okay, all right, but let's move on because I don't want to talk too long on that situation. I'll do a separate breakdown for that conversation for you guys as well. But I want to talk about Sierra now quickly as well.
Sierra don't want to bust that boy in.
No, y'all, stop. It's serious. Even though me and Eric is going through so much, I gotta say that I love and appreciate him for coming through for my grandma.
Now the Sierra situation is a little bit awkward, because I think the reality of the situation is her and Eric. Okay, he's been supporting her in her, most down moment and her most painful and hurtful moments. He's been supporting her. He's been there. He's been about that, right? And I think one of the interesting things about this situation also is the fact that she made a very distinct point, which is she doesn't want to give a mixed signal. And in that case, I think what needs to happen is a clear-cut communication. From the very jump and very beginning, hey, I really appreciate you supporting me. You supporting me this way has been so impactful. I also want to be very, very careful that I don't mislead you and lead you on. I'm not trying to get back into a relationship. I'm not trying to, fall back into line of what we were doing beforehand. This is really about the situation that I'm grieving at this moment. I'm not saying you are trying to do anything. I'm not saying you have done anything. I just want to make it very, very clear, because I don't want to get down the line and there's missed signals, and I'm dealing with grief, and I'm also dealing with the mixed signals. It's going to be too much for me. And so that's a clear cut of communication that lets a person know, hey, I want to make it very clear about what I'm on and what I'm about and what you're on and what you're about, so that we don't miss each other, because I really do appreciate you supporting me in this moment. I think that's a key conversation that she'll need to have going forward as well. So, that was a pivotal moment. I want to move to this part here. I've done a video on this actually, so I'll keep it nice and short.
Do all this. What's the special occasion?
I can't just want to bring you lunch and show up.
No, you don't do that.
Can I have one of your shrimp?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So
Now, I said this in another video. Yandy coming to his job, laying down a picnic. It's just manipulative. It's honestly, it's the little girl trying to get her dad to try and buy a gift and trying to be nice about it. You know what I mean? And it's a form of manipulation in a sense, right? Because she doesn't usually do that. And so it's not the goodness out of her own heart. She wants to soften the blow, so she released that information. The reality is he's not going to soften the blow. And so her turning up at his job to do a picnic now loses every single brownie point. You must have not done this, right? Now you lose every single brownie point, because the subject matter is something that you guys haven't really discussed in full depth and got to a rounded conclusion. If this had been the first time you ever spoke about it, then yeah. But this is not. You've already taken a decision and you've agreed that you're gonna do whatever you want to do, and now you're trying to broker him in. Yeah, I wasn't feeling that. I wasn't feeling that at all. Next part I want to talk about is obviously Scrappy's situation, because like I always say, look, I'm happy to see y'all together. I'm happy to see relationships work.
Today.
I am very happy for Scrappy that the divorce is final. I honestly can see that he's getting back to being himself.
Okay, so I'm very happy that Scrappy's getting back to himself. I'm very happy that Erica is there too. These two have always been such a great chemistry. It's just that they couldn't work each other out in a relationship format. I just don't feel like Scrappy was ever mature enough, and I feel like Erica also has a temper, and I just feel like it never was going to work out between these two, right? I hope that they've done some effective work behind the scenes, both of them. Because Scrappy's now divorcing Bambi, and again we're in the same situation once more again with Scrappy. I'm hoping he's done the work so that he can make this relationships work from here on out. I hope he's dealt with his trauma, because Erica could be a great mother of his kids, but also could be a great partner too, if y'all can actually get past some of the bullcrap that always happens. I love how Erica was mature and said, listen, hey, I love my Mama D has some issues, but you know what? I love the fact she's a great grandma. I'm focused on that. I'm not focused on the fact that she does some of the madness that she does. I mean, every year she does some madness, I can't lie to you. She's focused on that part, which is great. It shows a sign of maturity on Erica's part, right? But again, these two always are like Mr. and Mrs. Hancock. They get together and the world has to know about it, and the world has to explode on their behalf. And so I hope that they've grown and they've matured in that area going forward as well. But I love to see them, being so, akin and nice with each other. It was nice to see, I can't lie to you. Let's go to our shaman.
For all of us, that gave us some type of clarity, and I feel like it was needed. I just feel at peace. I feel good. I really do.
Thank you.
All right, I'm a little bit biased because I'm a Christian, so what I'm going to say is this. A lot of people are looking for peace and they're looking for answers. And so they look to the sky for those peace and for that answer. And oftentimes people look for men who are speaking to the sky and to the gods, quote unquote, to find answers above and outside of the realms of the earth. And so these young ladies have all come together and they're speaking to the shaman. The shaman's giving them a few words of wisdom and a few words of comfort as well. I want to let you know, listen, the Bible talks about the fact that there are familiar spirits, and the familiar spirits can also give you some answers that you think are also very, very true and in alignment with your life. So listen, God already knows there are spirits in this world that speak truthful things about people's lives. They can see an aspect of your life. They can't see all of it, but they can see an aspect of your life, right? Because they're in the realms of the spirit. So no offense to the shaman, but from a Christian perspective, I wasn't with it, but I understand why the ladies went to him. They wanted answers. And I guess it just shows how much as a human being, we want connection with God. We want a connection outside of ourselves. We want a connection that something bigger than us is actually operating as a purpose to our life. And there is a purpose to your life. No shoe, no clothes, no dress, no t-shirt is created without a purpose. You are also created with a purpose too. So I understand why a man or woman are wanting to connect back with God and find out answers about themselves. And Spice was going through something where she she was stressed and had her health in question, and the shaman picked that out. We had our good sis Shekinah. She was going through some moments as well. Bambi feeling like she's going through a divorce, and the guy was like, "There's a lot of stress going on." That brother didn't know. No, he just said something out of the blue. I ain't gonna lie to you. He sounded like he said something out of the blue and got it right. I ain't gonna play with you, but. He gave some words of comfort and exaltation towards her as well. So that was also fitting for the ladies too to go in that space. And sometimes you need a retreat. Sometimes you need a place. It's called a retreat for a reason. You retreat. Sometimes, and you know, Jesus did this. Jesus did it several times. When he was preaching, he actually took time away from the people. He would go away to the mountaintop by himself to retreat, because you need time to be able to focus on you and just kind of replenish yourself before you go back out there and give. And sometimes when you're hurting, the best place to be is to retreat and go into your place in your cave and just kind of replenish yourself before you get back out there again. So I understand why the ladies needed it. It was important to be in that space as well. Obviously, then another situation was Yandy and Mendeecees here.
In this decision making, we need to understand exactly what we're doing, so if we execute, we can feel good about that decision. Yeah, it's a hard.
Y'all see the look that Yandy gave Mendeecees when he said when he said obviously that when he said about the cost and said everything like that. She gave him a look. She was like looking at him like she was angry at him when he said you know, that you know, can she do this but with someone else's egg or whatever. Yandy was pissed, and she looked back at him. And I was like, but Yandy, you took a decision by yourself, baby, and you're trying to force your man to be on board. Like, you know, I'll be honest with you, babe. You are kind of pushing the scope a little bit. But hey, let me leave that alone, because like I said, I don't want to talk too much on that. Now, Scrappy and Diamond situation, it's getting a little messy.
I ain't got a timeline.
It ain't no rush. I'm just asking.
No, I'm having fun. You know, cheers to you. Damn. It's your face.
Do you know what's really telling about Scrappy and people like Scrappy? They always find themselves with women. And I think that is their biggest problem. Whenever they fall, they land with other women. And whenever you land with other women, I think there's an aspect of women that is so beautiful, right? They are emotional, they are caring, they're nurturing, they're all those things. So they nurse those wounds that you have. But the reality of the situation is, I feel like Scrappy needs to fall back and let the man them talk to him. Because sometimes I'm looking at them like, bro, these ladies, some of them, they want you. You know you want them. You want to sleep with them. They want to sleep with you. They're not actually a safe place to land. Not because they're not good, but because they're not actually safe. Because they don't actually want, they're not here for, quote unquote, just a friendship, right? And you know you're not here just for friendship. And sometimes I think that also hinders the learning process, because you always land with a woman. And it's like, when are you going to have time, Scrappy, to just deal with you? Now, maybe I'm wrong. I don't see all of Scrappy's life. He may have solo moments. But when is he going to deal with him? If you're somebody that always in a relationship ends up with another woman or another man, when are you going to have time for you? When are you going to have time for just being a solo person? Be like, you know what? I ain't going to enter nothing. I'm just going to be me. And I feel like Scrappy always ends up with a woman in some shape or form, and some type of madness that normally takes place. So yeah, and then my last point is this Shekinah situation. I think it's powerful. Let me see if I can get this, because I think this really did touch me as well.
Brushing off your things.
We gotta talk about it.
I don't know that.
Me having an abortion at 15 years old, it was sad. It was bittersweet, because
Now, she had an abortion at 15 years old, and I think that's such a heartbreaking thing, and it's quite close to home listening to this. It's heartbreaking, because to go through that and have to make that decision, especially at 15, is mind-boggling, and it's discombobulating, and it's heart-wrenching. And for a 15-year-old to have to experience that, it's a lot of life before life has been lived. And I can imagine that the stress of having to make a decision like that with family, of course, being involved with Shekinah, as she said, can be very daunting, you know. And these are some of the things that some of our black women are going through as they get to a mature age, and we don't realize that there's a lot of trauma and pain, both men and women, but I'm talking specifically about from a woman because I'm a man myself, that they're going through a lot. And so we need to be careful and considerate of that. And that's why the Bible says, dwell with women according to knowledge. But it also says that the woman is a weaker vessel. Be very careful how we deal with women, you know, because they are such a powerful tool in the armory of any man. But they're also as well very, I don't want to say delicate. I want to say that we have to be very careful as men what we input into them, because they multiply. So if I'm inputting goodness comes out. But if I input badness comes out. It was painful to hear Shekinah and the other lady as well also talk about her experience about having to abort a child. And me personally, I've been through a situation like that, and it's what I put the woman through. As I feel it, you know what I mean? I feel it. What I put the woman through, I feel bad that you had to go through that. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So, you know, I can definitely understand that and have compassion in that area as well. So. I appreciate she kind of sharing that because I know it was deep for her. And it was funny because she tried to be dismissive about it, and Spice was like, no, don't be dismissive about it. We actually have to deal with it and address it, because if you dismiss it, you're not actually dealing with the emotions that you actually feel, and you're not actually dealing with the pain that you feel, and that's going to carry on into relationships as well. And so make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button. My time is up, so I appreciate you guys. Say lots to the
Little black book. You know what time it is. Time